What a night it was for Phil Foden. He scored a hat-trick as Manchester City beat Brentford 3-1. And that moves them to within 2 points of the league leaders Liverpool with a game in hand.
Phil is playing, as I said weeks ago, the most influencing season in the team in terms of goals, assists. He's reading really well the game, how he play simple, how he be more aggressive. He has the pleasure to score the goals, and the threat when he's close to the TR box always is there. He's an incredible runner, how he runs for the team. So he's an exceptional player. So at a short age, already more than 250 games from City. That means the impact, the influence since he arrived.
Well, he left with the match ball and, unsurprisingly, the man of the match performance as well. And this is his breakdown as to why. 98 touches with a pass accuracy of 95%, completed 78 of the 82. And, of course, there were 3 key goals at the end of it, with the key passes of 3 as well. Natural successor, he says, to Kevin De Bruyne, hugely impressive. But I wonder just how key he might be over the next few weeks to Manchester City's title chances.
Well, let's put that question to Sam, shall we? That would be easy. So, Sam, how impressive a performance was it, Sam?
Well, very impressive. I think the best words I'd describe it is ruthless. I mean, I was at the game last night, and actually Brentford were quite solid defensively, particularly in the first half. Mark Flecken made so many saves. He looked like a man who wasn't going to be beaten. But what do the top players do? They punish mistakes, and Brentford made 2 mistakes either side of half-time, and Foden punished them. Ethan Pinnock made that sort of clumsy header that Foden latched on to score, and then Brentford left him unmarked in the penalty box in the second half, and you can't do that. But what I think we're seeing with Foden is we're seeing the best version we've seen of him. And the scary thing is that he's 23. And so we've still got a couple of years before his prime. So what's he going to be in a few years' time?
Sam?
Yeah, I mean, what's he going to be in a few years' time? Scary thought. Well, not for English fans, obviously, because we want to see him continue to progress and continue to develop. And the thing is, a lot of the time nowadays with young players, they often clock up quite a lot of minutes between the age of sort of 17 to 23. So sometimes you need to think about that prime and think it comes a bit sooner. But with Foden, they really coddled him, didn't they? They didn't expose him to first-team football too much too soon. He was David Silva's understudy for what felt like an eternity. I'm sure Phil Foden would probably agree there, as he wanted to get onto the pitch more. Pep did not send him out on loan. He wanted him to study and to learn and to play this system. So with Foden, at 23 years of age, actually the best really is to come, whereas with a lot of the case nowadays with 23-year-olds, they're sort of in their prime already.
Yeah, I remember Arsene Wenger used to talk about miles on the clock, didn't he, when talking about Cesc Fabregas. What else have you found out, Gail?
I thought you were referring to my miles on the clock there, Rob.
Gail, never.
Well, we just looked at his influence beyond some of his goal scoring. He did get his second hat-trick of his professional career last night. But above that, we've looked at that took his tally to 8 in the Premier League, and that's 7 assists this season as well, which gives him a combined involvement of 15. And when you look at the names above him and probably the games that they've played, it becomes obvious the influence that he has had when he started. And that's exactly why Manchester City and Pep Guardiola are beginning to find a way to play him week in, week out.
OK, this idea, though, of miles on the clock is quite an interesting one, isn't it? Because, as you were saying, the players can sort of get burned out too early here. But is he becoming almost undroppable now?
Well, what does undroppable mean in a Manchester City context? It's difficult, isn't it? Because you'd suggest that really no one is undroppable at Man City. And this is the point of stockpiling quality, so they can push each other and they can foster competition, so that Foden, if he does drop his level, comes out of the team because there's others waiting. And from the others' perspective, they need to be looking at what Phil Foden is doing right now. They need to look at that statement and decisive performance. And Julian Alvarez and even Kevin De Bruyne coming back in after several months out needs to be looking at this and thinking, OK, the landscape has changed slightly. The Phil Foden I was playing with at the end of last season is not the same as the one we're looking at right now. And it needs to put a rocket up in each and every single one of those Manchester City players, and it can only be good for Pep, surely.
Yeah, I mean, the question that Pep Guardiola has is who isn't undroppable at Man City right now? I mean, Foden has his hat-trick, and it would take a very, very strong character to drop him. Kevin De Bruyne has assists in each of his last 3 Premier League games, so you can't drop him either. And Julian Alvarez has 4 goals in his last 5 games. You do feel that if he was to bring someone like Jeremy Doku in, Jack Grealish, who wasn't used last night, then maybe Bernardo Silva is the one to make way. But right now, you can't drop any of the players, those 3 players that seem to be playing right behind Erling Haaland at the moment.
Can't drop Bernardo, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I know, but there you go.
That's the dilemma.